What we're making right now is this beautiful tree. Hello, crafty folks. Welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to do a quick video and show you guys how to do an embroidery. This is a super beginner friendly tutorial. You can do it even if you've never embroidered anything before. You don't need anything fancy. So let's go over the supplies list. So you will need a embroidery hoop. You can get these, I believe at Joann's, they're like a couple bucks for an embroidery hoop. This one I think is 7 inches, but you can go with whatever size you want to. You're gonna need some fabric. I chose a unbleached cotton muslin that said it was premium quality from Joann's. It was on sale, so it was really inexpensive. And then you are going to need some floss. I have a brown and a green here. And then you're gonna want an embroidery needle. I have my little needle book here with my embroidery needles in it. You can use almost any needle as long as the strands of floss will fit through the eye of the needle. Embroidery needles are a little easier because they're designed for like the thicker embroidery floss to go through, and so they're a little easier to use, but you can use almost any needle. Scissors. I have my thread scissors, and then also I used scissors to cut out the fabric itself. And then I've got a couple pens. I've got a dark colored pen, and then I've got a light colored pen. So I haven't bought a bunch of fancy stuff. I got some thread. These are like less than $1 for each color of thread that you want to get, and some paper. So I drew myself a little design here. We're gonna embroider a tree today. If you want to do a different drawing, then that's totally fine. All these steps will still work for whatever you want to embroider. So I have this light colored Bic pen, and I'm just using that to mark my pattern onto my fabric, and then I'm just going to cover it up completely with my stitching. So the first step, you're going to cut out your fabric, and you may need to iron it just to give you a neat surface to work on. And then I drew myself a little pattern. So if you want to do a tree, it's basically a triangle and then trunk of the tree through the middle. Very simple pattern. So what I'm going to do is take the fabric and place it over and try and center it a little bit. And I did make the markings on my paper really thick so that I could see them through the fabric. So you can also use, you could use like a tablet that's got a bright screen on it, and you could put it on that in order to see better. I'm going to try and just wing it. I don't need it to be super precise because I'm going to cover these up with thread anyway. And that's sort of my style with arts and crafts, is a little bit of like a winging it sort of a thing. So here is my tree shape that I've drawn on. So now I'm going to put it in the hoop. So I'm going to take the little loosener thingy and slip the middle out. Then I'm going to place the tree on there and try and center it a little bit. You can always take your fabric out and re-hoop it if you need to. Okay, so now I'm going to take the top part and put it over the top. Push it down. Now it looks pretty good, but I want it to be pretty tight, so I'm just going to go around in a circle and just sort of pull on it to see if I can get it any tighter. And then I'm going to tighten this top nut a little bit. pull on the fabric to see if you can get it any tighter. I have noticed that sometimes I have to tighten it while I'm working on it because it can tend to get a little loose when you're putting the needle and thread, you know, back and forth through it. So you might have to make it a little tighter later. So I've got my tree in there. It's more or less centered. It's good enough for now. So the first thing that I did, so what we're making right now is this beautiful tree. So what I did is I did the brown trunk part of the tree first. So I'm going to show you guys that. Now you want to take about an arm's length of embroidery thread, and I'm going to do only 3 of the 6 strands. So I'll be able to use both sections of 3. So you pull the floss apart, set the extra aside, and we're going to thread our needle. I don't use a needle threader, but you're more than welcome to. If at any point while you are watching this video you like it, please give it a thumbs up. And if you feel like it, then please hit the subscribe button. It does really help me out. I'm going to tie a little knot at the bottom now. So that knot is going to secure our thread. And I'm just going to cut off the most of the excess there. Okay. So now we're going to go from the back of our work. I'm going to turn like this so you guys can see what I'm doing. I'm going to start at the bottom, but this is like a project that you can pretty much wing it on, so you can start wherever you want. So I'm going to start at the bottom. And what I did originally that I really liked is I used different lengths of stitches. So I'm going to go up about 1 inch and put the stitch there. And then I'm going to put the needle back in sort of there, maybe 1/4 inch down, and then go back to the bottom. So this is a tree, so it's got natural shape variation. So you don't have to worry too much about being super precise with your stitches here, because trees are all sorts of funky shapes, and so the more that you just sort of go with your gut, the more natural it's gonna look. I do make sure that my stitches will cover at least the section where the pen marks are at, and then I go back and fill in, because I don't want any of my pen marks to show in the final product. And sometimes I go up and down, like sometimes I enter from the bottom and go up, and sometimes I enter from the top and go down, and there's really no rhyme or reason other than it's just what I feel like at the time. I think that this style of embroidery can be like really fun and just sort of stress-free. Which I think is kind of a cool practice to take up in this day and age, is something you can just feel free to have a little creative expression without too much like stress or worry. I mean, you can always put some more thread over the top if you feel like you messed something up. I've been reading a bunch of embroidery books, and that was one thing that I admired about one of the authors of the, actually I'm going to move that and put it in here. One of the embroidery books that I read, you know, she's a very accomplished embroiderer, and she was really just like, embroidery has rules, but you know, rules only serve you to the degree that you're getting stuff done and enjoying yourself and, all of that. If they're a hindrance, then you can try it a different way. And I really admired that. That's sort of my philosophy as well. Okay, so I'm getting towards the end of this first thread. So leave the needle on. You're going to come to the back. And I've seen people do various ways of finishing it. I'm just going to tie a little knot, just like we did at the beginning. So you just create a loop and then bring the needle back through the loop. I'm going to do it a couple times. And then I'm going to snip it off, leaving about 1/4 of an inch remaining. So that's what the back of my project looks like so far. This is what the front of my project looks like so far. So I'm going to show you guys some of the green now so that you can see the technique that I used on that. So again, with the green, I just did 3 strands. Okay, so that's on the needle. I'm going to tie off the end. I guess I'll show you guys up close. So I wrap it around my finger, and then I take the small tail and I push it back through, and then I just pull it tight, and that creates the knot at the end. And then again, we're going to start from the back, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on one side of the trunk right near where I have the pen marks for the first lines at the bottom. So I'm going to pull it all the way through, and then I'm going to take it all the way over to the end of the line on that side. So that's how I did most of the embroidery on this finished one. So, and then from over on this side, it's sort of like a satin stitch, I guess. Then I would stick it back in because I don't want to waste all of the thread running it over the back to the other side. So I would stick it back in and then run it back over to this side. And then when I got to the center again, then I would put it in through the other side of the trunk. And then cross over the trunk. And it's all sort of artistic license. If you want to have more of the trunk showing, then you don't have to cross over it in the center. And if you want to have more of the trunk hidden, then you do cross over it in the center. So this is one method for doing these trees that I really enjoy. So just doing each side separately, I think that by doing each side individually, it gives a lot more variation. However, I also did another technique on the same tree. So I went all the way up the tree, doing it one side, the left side of the tree, and then the right side of the tree. And then I came back down and I did another technique that I'm going to show you here, which is I'm going to put the needle in through the right side of the tree right here, and then you just pull it all the way across to the left side so that your thread covers the entire length. So whichever way you want to do it, or if you want to do a combo of it, I found that it was fun to do a combo and to sort of layer them. I thought it gave a much more organic look. I don't know, I just really liked it. So anyway, so then that's all you do. You go all the way up the tree. You can come back down as many times as you need to get an even look and to get it filled in as much as you like. And the only thing that you really have to keep in mind at all is just to make sure that you cover up those pen marks with your stitching. So I'm not going to go too far up this tree because I have not finished the center yet. I just wanted to give you guys an idea of what techniques that you can use in filling it in. Okay, so there are many methods of finishing off your embroidery. So I have this embroidery that I did last night. Now, if your thread is a little fuzzy and doesn't want to go through the eye of the needle, you can just snip off the fuzzy bit. So I'm going to start around the top for no particular reason. I'm going to bend my fabric down so that it's approximately, I don't know, I'd say there's like 3/4 of an inch left from the hoop. Okay, so now I'm just going to continue to go all the way around my hoop, folding the fabric over so there's not going to be any exposed edges in the back, and it's gonna gather the fabric nicely. It doesn't have to be like precisely and exactly even the whole way because no one's going to be staring at the back of it. However, you want it to be nice enough. I'm going to cut off a little excess because I did leave quite a lot over on these edges here, which I personally like to leave the excess a little long because if it shifts or if I have to, you know, rehoop it to center it, I just don't want to end up with not enough fabric in order to be able to finish it nicely. So then I'm gonna sort of pull it right here to start it gathering. So I just feel like if I tried to do hot glue or craft glue or something like that, I feel like I might get it on the back of my actual like hooped fabric, and I'm afraid that it would cause a problem. Okay, so I ended up, I overlapped them a little bit, and I actually, now I'm gonna loop it through the fabric a couple of times and make a knot in order to keep it super tight. So it looks really neat and tidy back there. It looks very traditional. So I like that look. And you can do it with whatever color of floss you want. You could even do this method and then cover it with like a fabric or something if you wanted to have it have a little bit more stylized look. So I'm just gonna push it through to the back and make a little knot. And then snip off the end there. So this is what the finishing looks like, and so this is what it looks like from the front, and it's super cute and ready to go. If you liked this video at any point in time, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and I will see you guys next time. Okay, thanks guys. Bye.